Okay, why don't we have the whole team and the coaches come up, and we'll do a little presentation here. And parents, if you want to get ready with your cameras.
And coaches, if we ask you to come down on the sides, that's where we would do that. So if you come down towards the side, yep, thank you so much. Oh, come on down, players.
Now you're shy?
Oh, they were not shy in the hall with me.
If you just line up right across the front.
Come. Oh, we got two line you. We'll double line.
Now, one of the things we'd like to let you know is that, gentlemen, on behalf of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, in recognition of your accomplishments, we have a nice proclamation here that you can hang in your Little League hall. But one of the things that it does do is that based upon your great performance this year and the teamwork and working together and persevering through many challenges, the Westchester County Legislature has decided to name today the Sherman Park Little League Day. So, what I typically tell people is that on this day, you're allowed to create minor traffic infractions. You can run red lights and stuff like that. So, if it, no, all right, yeah, I heard you guys. And which of you guys are driving now? Okay, good. Well, fair enough. Anyway, the day, when you go to school tomorrow, tell everybody that you had the day named after you today, and congratulations.
Crunch them up.
Yeah. Some of you guys,
Little guys to the front. How about a pyramid? A little rowdiness. Do a pyramid.
Okay, remember, guys, big smile.
Actually, he's the head coach. Yes.
Well, you guys put me on the spot.
You like it.
I only have like 30 seconds, right, Ken? Only 30 seconds. You can start playing the music.
Mike, why don't you introduce the coaches and then they get the tape.
Guys, players.
Oh, wait.
Your coaches are going to talk for a couple minutes. They're going to talk about all the nice things and all the great things you guys did.
Okay.
All right. We have the head coach, John. John Pooney.
Oh, we're all going to speak one at a time?
Just one speaker.
Just one speaker?
Good, yeah.
Okay, this is not a venue I'm comfortable with, but I will do my best. I want to congratulate my guys, my boys. I know they're yours, but I feel like they're all mine. 14 great kids. I would coach them any day of the week, month, year. Played your hearts out, went through some tough times, pulled together like a family, a real team. And I want to thank my assistant coaches, Don Fensori and Enzo Nardone, who were instrumental in being part of a team. And that's what this team is, a team. Everyone contributed, everyone had a part in any win that we had. And that's what I'm proud of, because not one of you is better than anybody else. You're all the same to me.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, legislators.
All right, guys, give a big round of applause for the Sherman Park team. Wow, looks like a future legislator there. He's got the whole hand thing working down, photo op working well. That is your district, Mr. Smith, so watch out. The young man is working hard there, right? A big round of applause for the Sherman Park team, their parents, and their coaches. It's a great accomplishment at the New York State level, and congratulations to them all. All right. Yes, I know, we have 2 minutes, so legislators, let's just kind of hang out in place and give them an opportunity to take their photos, and certainly if there's anyone else that would like to go out and enjoy them. And we're going to start precisely at 7 o'clock on the dot, because Bob Meehan said his favorite team is playing tonight. Oh, there he goes. All right, very good.
Which is?
No, he said his favorite team was here this evening, right? The Sherman Park team is his favorite team.
No wonder you were a mayor. You knew who to...
Supervisor.
Excuse me.
Wow. And Mr. Raleigh doesn't look like he's here yet. He's going to be so disappointed that we're going to start exactly at 7 o'clock. I'm not going to think that, because the last time someone told me I thought about the game, I thought we were going to get out in a reasonable time frame. Legislative Tester, it reminds me that I said that last time, and we were here till 11 o'clock. So I'm not going to jinx it at all by saying anything about any games tonight. We're just going to be focused and work hard towards getting towards that particular goal. Does anyone know a good joke? No, I'm just kidding.
What would we have done without
Mine's not working. Yes, I do. It's very light and it's fast. I like it. iPad, iPhone. I do. Gotta have that ecosystem going. Tell Conrad who's doing it. Good evening, everyone. I call the regular meeting of the Westchester County Board of Legislators to order. If we all could please rise as Legislator Perez leads us in the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, give us the strength, courage, and wisdom to always act in this chamber in the best interest of the people of Westchester County. Let us keep in mind that every decision that we make impacts upon the life, health, and safety of all our great county residents. Amen. Madam Clerk.
Majority Leader Harkam.
Here.
Minority Leader Mazzano. Ms. Borgia.
Here.
Mr. Burrows. Mr. Gelfarb.
Aye.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
Present.
Ms. Marcotte. Ms. Myers.
Here.
Ms. Perez. Mr. Ryan. Ms. Shimsky.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Spreckman. Mr. Testa.
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Chairman.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Harkam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I would move the consent calendar with the following proposed changes. On page 5, number 11, please add community services. On page 7 and 8, sever items 19 through 23. On page 9, number 7, please add Committee on Environment and Energy. On page 11, please add Committee on Budget and Appropriations. I think I said that, didn't I? Page 11, yeah, number 11, Committee on Budget and Appropriations. And with that, we move the consent calendar.
Mr. Mazzano. Mr. Williams.
I'm in agreement.
We are on consent, members. Mr. Harkam, your pleasure on items
19 through 23, sir.
19 through 23.
Move to receive and file.
The motion for receiving and file items 19 to 23 says second. Second?
Second.
Second. Madam Clerk, roll call vote to receive and file items 19 through 23.
Mr. Harkam.
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Borgia.
Yes.
Mr. Burrows. Mr. Gelfarb.
Mr. Gelfarb.
Aye.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
Nay.
Ms. Marcotte. Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Aye.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Ms. Shimsky.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
No.
Ms. Spreckman. Mr. Testa.
No.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Chairman, permission to change due to an error on my part.
The vote had not been tallied yet, Mr. Gelfarb. We will make that modification for you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, what is the tally?
To approve 9-8 to be received and filed.
Items 19 to 23 have been received and filed. Madam Clerk, let's, Mr. Harkam, on the minutes approval.
Yes, Mr. Chair. At this time, we would move the minutes of the Monday, September 10th meeting that was held at 7 p.m.
Members without objection? So ordered. Madam Clerk, public comment.
Each speaker shall be limited to 3 minutes. When I call your name, I ask that you please come down the aisle to my left and go behind the black ropes. I have one card, Regina Riley.
I'm Regina Riley from District 9, and I would like the clerk, if she would, to give these out to the members of the board. New York City Department of Education, in conjunction with a number of drug companies and Planned Parenthood, have decided to provide morning after pills and other abortifacient drugs to students as young as 14, including injectable birth control pills. Actually, a freshman in high school might not have a birthday until December, so that 13-year-olds are often entering high school and therefore subject to this new ruling by the Department of Education in New York City. The drug that is especially interesting is this levonorgestrel, which is a generic name for most of the emergency contraceptives, which are a one-dose order. They specialize in after coitus activity. Now, what if a 13 or 14-year-old girl, what does she know if she's a pre-diabetic? Does she know if she has liver problems or pulmonary thrombosis propensities, uterine bleeding? She might think it's just her ordinary bleeding from her menses. If she takes anticonvulsant drugs or has anti-tuberculous agents which she has to take, does she really know that these are very, very dangerous to be taking with these kind of medicines? When a girl is that young, she actually has not completed her maturity, even though she might have started her menses. This is crossing a new line as far as taking over the responsibility for parents. And very often parents, although they have this opt-out program they said parents can use, in fact, the kids might not even show the mother and father the opt-out thing. So they don't even know that this is going on. And being an opt-out means you're an exception to the rule. In other words, a parent who really wants to be a parent, who really wants to know what's going on with her child and not be totally in the dark when this child has sex and then is given this dangerous medicine by her parent, by her school nurse, or just given out from the school nurse's closet. They want to know that, and yet they're considered the opt-out. They're the exception to the rule. My point being that in New York City and New York State, where carbonated drinks, soft drinks, and candy and cake machines are banned from students, and they're not served at school lunchrooms, large sodas and trans fats are prohibited from being offered in New York City restaurants. Yet it's okay for these children to be given drugs which are 10 times more potent than the ordinary, everyday birth control pill. And this is our children's safety we're talking about, and also our children's dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Riley.
Mr. Chairman, I have no other cards.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So let's continue with unfinished business.
Item number 1, ID number 5527, was held over at the September 10, 2012 regular meeting. Appears here as an item of unfinished business for committee referral only. It's an act that ratifies the incorporation of the Westchester County Local Development Corporation pursuant to Section 1411A of the New York Not-for-Profit Corporation Law on January 30, 2012, and authorizes and empowers the county executive or authorized designee to execute any and all instruments and to take all action necessary and appropriate to effectuate the purposes hereof, retroactive to the date the county executive executed the documents to incorporate WCLDC.
Mr. Harcum.
No.
Madam Clerk, a long roll call. How about that? Yes, Mr. Kaplitz.
Discussion, sir, on this? Sounds like a vote started without...
Right.
Oh, great, thank you.
There's no discussion on it. It's a referral to committee, so it's only a vote to send it to committee or not.
Can't we even discuss this tonight? No, okay.
Madam Clerk, a long roll call vote to refer to committee.
Mr. Harcum.
And I apologize, Mr. Chair. I should have said this was a vote to refer it to committee. No.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Borgia.
No.
Mr. Burrows. Mr. Gelfarb.
Aye.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
Yes.
Ms. Marcotte. Ms. Myers.
No.
Ms. Perez.
I'm sorry. Nay.
Mr. Ryan. Ms. Shimsky.
Nay.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Spreckman. Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
No.
Mr. Williams. Mr. Chairman.
No.
Motion to send to committee fails by a vote of 8 to 9. Unfinished business items 2 through 5 were all held over from the September 10th, 2012 regular meeting and appear here as items of unfinished business for action. Number 2, ID number 4996, from the Committees on Government Operations and Budget Appropriations, is an act amending the 2012 county capital budget by increasing the appropriation for capital project RKD01 Kensico Dam Plaza infrastructure site work in the amount of $462,000.
Ms. Myers?
Yes, thank you very much. This is a capital budget amendment, amending the 2012 capital budget to finance this capital project, which is the electrical infrastructure work that is needed at the Kensico Dam Plaza. This was reviewed by the Committee on Government Operations in April, and it passed through the Committee on Budget and Appropriations in the beginning of August and is now before the full board. And it was determined that this was necessary construction work, necessary for the use of Kensico by all sorts of different groups. It provides a lot of different electrical outlets, basically replacement of lights, fixtures, poles, security cameras, and a lot of different wiring. So the Committee on Budget and Appropriations heartily recommends its passage, and I would like to turn this over to Legislator Borgia.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Borgia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Legislator Myers says, we did do an extensive review of this project back in the spring. We find that it is a very worthwhile project to improve the use of the Kensico Dam Plaza, enable people to use it for longer time, and in particular, create a safe passage around in the Kensico Park. And therefore, the Committee on Government Operations approved and believes this is a good project to move forward.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members, we are on discussion at this time for ID number 24996, so item 2, ID number 4996, as well as its accompanying bond act, which is item 34997. Ms. Myers, would you like to introduce that one as well at this particular point in time?
Yes, sir. This is for the actual bonding of this renovation project, which should be for a total of $3,262,000. I also neglected to mention that this new lighting and power system will also incorporate all of the latest technologies in energy savings and efficiencies. So this is a green project.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Borgia, would you like to add anything as well?
No, it's pretty much covered in what I said before, except that thank you to Legislator Myers, because I think every capital project that comes through government operations, we do ask them if they are incorporating energy efficient lighting, and we were pleased to hear that this one does.
Thank you. Members, on the items, we're on discussion of 2 items. Mr. Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. One comment for the record with respect to this. When it came through the Capital Projects Subcommittee, we wanted to clarify that since there are dispute over the ownership interest in Kensico Dam between the state, the county, we wanted to get a representation from the department that the improvements were being made on property that is owned by the county versus property that might be owned by the state or disputed, and we were given that assurance that it was.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Other members on this item? Madam Clerk, a long roll call.
Mr. Harkam.
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Borgia.
Yes.
Mr. Burrows. Mr. Gelfarb.
Aye.
Mr. Kaplowitz. Ms. Marcotte. Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan. Ms. Shimsky.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Spreckman. Mr. Testa. Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Williams. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Approved 17-0. Item 4997 from the Committees on Government Operations and Budget and Appropriations, a bond act authorizing the issuance of $3,262,000 in bonds of the county to finance capital project RKDO1 Kensico Dam Plaza Infrastructure Electric.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, as previously discussed, so moved.
Thank you. Members, unless there's objection, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 5006 from the Committees on Budget Appropriations, Government Operations, and Environment and Energy is a resolution setting a public hearing on the proposed modification to the Sawmill Valley Sanitary Sewer District by the removal of 3 parcels of property located in the town of Mount Pleasant.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, this is a resolution to set a public hearing to discuss this sewer district modification that removes 3 parcels that are not currently hooked up to any sanitary sewers and have no reasonable opportunity to do so at any time in the near future. I would like to move that we set the public hearing for October 15th at 7:30 p.m.
Okay, the public hearing has been set for October 15th at 7:30 p.m. Members, unless there's objection, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the setting of the public hearing. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 4944 from the Committees on Budget.
Madam Clerk.
Item number
Sorry.
5 has been recommitted. It's not over. You could have read the whole thing.
Brings us to standing committees.
We do need to note that that's being recommitted because we were waiting for information. We did receive some of the information at 5:37 this evening, and it gives the opportunity for the committee to review the partial information in the hopes that the administration will get the remainder to us prior to our October 15th meeting. Standing committees, Madam Clerk.
Item 4982 from the Committees on Legislation, Government Reform, Efficiency and Savings, and Community Services is a resolution setting a public hearing on a local law amending the laws of Westchester by adding a new Chapter 177 relating to the establishment of a Westchester County Office for Women.
Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Office of Women has existed for many years. Operating out of the county executive's office. However, this resolution is an attempt to codify the law and therefore establish it in legally in the county, and we are setting the hearing for October 15th at 7:30 in the evening.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. The public hearing has been set for October 15th at 7:30 p.m. Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the setting of the public hearing. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 5252 from the Committees on Budget Appropriations and Government Operations, a bond act amending bond act number 247-2007 by reducing the bond authorization by $270,000 for capital project SPK 08 Highland Avenue Pump Station design and construction management costs.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a project to rehabilitate it's part of the entire rehabilitation of our pump stations, but to rehabilitate the Highland Avenue Pump Station in the Peekskill Sewer District. And to cover this would be to cover the capital costs associated with the rehabilitation. I'd like to take these together, this and the following one together, because what this does is it uses $270,000 that was left over from another project and rolls it into this bond act for the rehab of the pump station. And this is one that has shown that it's way past its useful life in terms of the actual pumping facilities themselves. This also puts in bypass capabilities in case of emergencies. And at this point, I would like to pass this over to Legislator Borgia because this also came through government operations.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, as Legislator Myers says, this is part of the maintenance of the facility to make sure that we can continue to have the pump station operate in a safe and environmentally sound manner. As Legislator Myers has said, when we discussed this with the Department of Environmental Facilities in Government Operations, they indicated to us that this repair was long overdue. It had far extended its useful life, and we haven't had, it's fortunate that we are able to make these repairs prior to having any disasters. So we, after a careful review, we did definitely recommend that this project move forward from the government operations point of view. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members, we're on discussion on item number 2, ID number 5252, and item number 3, 5253. Members on these items. Mr. Williams.
Just one point of information from when we reviewed this. This item, as you know, is amending a bond act that was passed, I think, in 2007, and I think the bonds were sold in order to pay for design. And generally, when that occurs, you're not able to, you have to wait and let it age for 1 year. And I think that this amendment fell within the 1-year period, as well as the legislation fell within the 1-year period. Beyond the one, not within, but beyond the 1-year period, to make it eligible for action to be taken at this point in time.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Members on this item? Members, unless there's objection, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of item number 2. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 3, ID number 5253 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, a bond act authorizing the issuance of an additional $3,270,000 in county bonds to finance capital project SPK 08, upgrade, rehab, Highland Avenue Pump Station design, construction management costs.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, as previously discussed, this is indeed the bond act itself for the issuance of the $3,270,000, which of course is financed through the Peekskill Sewer District for the capital costs. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior roll call vote for the long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 5282 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Public Safety and Security, an act authorizing Westchester County to renew an intermunicipal agreement with Nassau County, pursuant to which Westchester County will provide latent print analysis for the Nassau Police Department.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, this was discussed at length in the Budget and Appropriations Committee, as well as the Committee on Public Safety. This is actually a great sort of a win-win for Westchester County. 2 years ago, I believe, the Nassau County Crime Lab was not reauthorized or relicensed to perform these latent print analyses and firearms analyses. And because they continued to need, Nassau County continued to need this kind of information, they came to Westchester County, to our Department of Public Safety, to see if our county could take this on at a cost that they would be reimbursed for. They would be paid to provide these analysis. And we heard today that indeed While it costs $23,000 in overtime to Westchester County, the revenue for these jobs that were done, which was, I think, a total of 58 prints and 38 firearms, and then a number of 7 court appearances, came to $74,000 in revenue to the county, so with a net revenue of $51,000. And the understanding has been that whenever there is a county job Westchester County job that needs to be done, that takes priority, obviously, and that this is done on an overtime basis. It seems to be working out well, and this is a renewal from last year's intermunicipal agreement, and the only change is really just that the dates have been revised. So moved.
Ms. Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As Legislator Myers has stated, this is a renewal of the IMA. This one does have a new term of 2 years. Our Department of Public Safety has been providing these services for Nassau County for quite some time now. They have been doing these analyses for Nassau County, mainly firearms, and they have been working very well. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Members on this item? Unless there's an objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 5283 from the Committees on Budget Appropriations and Government Operations, an amended Bond Act authorizing the reduction of Bond Act 125-2006 by $331,400 for capital project SM075 Pump Station Rehab Program, Mamaroneck SSD.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, if I may, I'd like to take this up along with the following amended Bond Act. This is part of, again, of the pump station rehabilitation that has been going on for all of our wastewater treatment plants. And the first amendment is to a Bond Act that was originally authorized to include this particular pump station rehab with some that went on in Larchmont. It was then broken out apart from the Larchmont ones because of proximity to 2 other Mamaroneck rehabs that were necessary, and it was felt to be far more efficient to rehab pump stations in the same area at the same time. So what this is to rehab, I believe these are 3 different sites within the village of Mamaroneck to rehab their pump stations and bring them up to par, if you will. The first amendment is to reduce the original Bond Act by $331,400, and the second one, as ID 5284, is to amend the new bond issue by including this in that, so it now comes to $8,231,400. So moved. And I would like to pass this over to Government Operations, please.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Legislator Myers says, this is part of our ongoing pump station rehab. This particular item, as Legislator Myers said, it was reconfigured. The project plan was reconfigured to take advantage of doing some things at the same time for cost and operational savings. It is to maintain the safety and environmental safety of the, as well as health safety of the 3 sites. Again, a similar situation that Legislator Williams will probably discuss about why it was broken up into these 2 actions and why there was a little bit of delay on the project. However, we do in Government Operations feel that it was important to move forward with these items at this particular time.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members, we are on item number 5, ID 5283, discussion as well as item 6, 5284. Members on those items. Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 5284 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, an amended bond act authorizing the issuance of bonds of the county in an amount not to exceed $8,231,400, including $1,500,000 in previously authorized bonds of the county for capital project SMO 75 Pump Station Rehab Program, Amerenik.
Ms. Myers. Ms. Myers?
Yes. Sorry about that. Yes, this is, tonight is sewage night at the Board of Legislators. This is for the force main rehabilitation in the Peekskill Sewer District.
Madam Clerk, Ms. Myers, we're on
Oh, we're still, oh shoot, I've already moved on to Peekskill. Yes, the Mamaroneck one is the other part, so moved.
Thank you so much. Members, unless there's objection, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of item 6. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 5285 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, an amended bond act authorizing the issuance of up to $5,700,000 in bonds of the county to finance capital project SPK 20, Force Main Rehab, Peekskill Sewer District.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, force main rehab, Peekskill Sewer District. This is, again, part of the force main rehab program for our wastewater treatment plants. This one in Peekskill was actually planned for earlier, except that they had received a request from Peekskill to actually delay this work while they were doing some other work on Water Street. And I would if there's any additional comment on that, I would turn to Legislator Testa for this area. But what this does is it would start it all up now that the work has been completed. And I would like to turn this over to Legislator Borgia for government operations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Borgia.
Thank you. Yes, the county was asked to delay on this matter by the city of Peekskill because of the extensive Department of Transportation work on the 9 and 9A corridor, and this was a very significant traffic route, so that is why there was a little bit of a delay on this particular project. This does replace it removes some of 24,000 feet of existing 12 and 16-inch pipes and creates a new 24-inch iron force main in the vicinity of Water Street. The interesting thing about this particular project is that the additional larger force main adds a redundancy in the system to provide additional backup so that we ensure that the force main system continues to operate in a safe and environmentally friendly manner. And also because this is located close by to the railroad tracks, there was some design consideration about the fact that the train tracks sometimes provide a stray current, so the design needed to take that into account. There was some deterioration that had happened to the system that was in place at the current time. So again, as it is the sewer night here at the Board of Legislators, it is interesting to learn about how our systems are subject to a lot of things that we might not think would have an impact on them, and that's why it's really important to continue on a regular basis with these upgrades of all of our pump stations, sewer mains, et cetera, to keep our sewer system going. So the Government Operations Committee has approved this and recommends the work begin.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 5469 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Public Safety and Security, an act to authorize Westchester County to enter into a 4-year intermunicipal agreement with the cities of Yonkers, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, and White Plains for the administration of the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant for 2011.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, this is an act that would allow the County of Westchester to receive the federal grant that known as the JAG Award, the Justice Assistance Grant, for 2011. And under this IMA, the county receives a total, mostly for administrative purposes, of $9,881, but the bulk of the money obviously goes to the communities of Mount Vernon, White Plains, and New Rochelle for the for the distribution by the city of Yonkers to each of those. And so the county is, in essence, a pass-through, though we do get a little bit of administrative funding. I would like to turn this over to Legislator Perez for a better discussion of the public safety aspect of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a shared grant that will pay for overtime services for the Department of Probation, and it's a continuation of the original agreement. Their officers do ride-alongs and perform community services in conjunction with the police department. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Members on this item? Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 5539 from the Committees on Budget Appropriations and Government Operations, an environmental resolution to adopt the finding statement made in accordance with State Environmental Quality Review Act.
Ms. Myers.
Yes. If I may, I'd like to take this and the next two items all up together, as they all relate to the same very large project, which has to do with the land acquisition, a bond act, and a resolution, an environmental quality resolution for the development of a parcel in the town of North Salem for the development of fair and affordable housing. This is something that has been in the works for a number of years, I understand. It has to do with a 40-acre parcel, most of which will remain undeveloped, and this does count towards the fair and affordable housing allocation in BPL 50 of the 750 units. This, I believe, covers, and I will leave this to the other legislators to discuss in depth, but this does consist of 65 one, two, and three-bedroom affordable rental units within the town of North Salem. I believe it's in the village of Lewisboro, correct? Lewisboro. No. Oh, North Salem. Oh, okay. At this point, I would like to turn it over to, so there are three things to be voted on, but at this point, for discussion purposes, I would turn this over to Legislator Borgia and then to Legislator Harcum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Legislator Myers says, this is a project that does count towards the affordable housing settlement. There's some unique features of this particular parcel. It is slightly remote, so the developer has agreed to create some transportation opportunities for the residents who live there, including a bus to take them to the train station and to shopping area that is close by. It is close by to a school, so that there is a connection to the community with that respect. And because of the remote nature of the property and the features of this particular parcel, the developer is also creating a treatment plant on site for the residents in these units. This will be a rental unit, so the developer will be actively involved in the maintenance of this property. And we think it seems we went through it in government operations quite extensively. We also saw presentations in two other committees, and we think that this is going to be a very lovely place to live, a good addition to that municipality, and also will further the meeting of our goals under the housing supplement. And I would like Legislator Harcum, the legislator representing the area, to continue the conversation.
Thank you, Ms. Borgia. Mr. Harcum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would certainly like to thank Chairwoman Borgia, Chairwoman Myers, and Chairman Williams for expediting this through the three committees. The developer has a state closing at the end of the month, so we needed to get all this finished so he would qualify for the state portion of this. A very good description has been given of the project. I would just like to add a few salient points. This is actually very close to where I'm living now. It's a beautiful piece of property next to the schools, next to a town park, restaurant, farmer's market, as was described, a shuttle to Croton Falls, the train station, One of the things that we talk about when it comes to affordable housing in northern Westchester is the lack of infrastructure, affordable or not. There is no wastewater infrastructure to handle these kinds of things, and we've raised the issue with HUD and with the monitor. We deal with it greatly in our septic subcommittee, but the cost is $1.2 million for an on-site sewage treatment plant, which is quite a bit of money. And if we average, about $68,000, $69,000 a unit, that's 12 or 13 other units that we could be building somewhere in the county that's tied up strictly in a sewage treatment plant. So that's an ongoing issue. We have to continue to be vigilant to push that with HUD. In our septic subcommittee, we're pushing that with DEC and DEP as far as less costly alternatives. So that's just something to put in the back of our minds. These units have the approval of the local elected officials and the support. They've been through local planning and local zoning, which is an important point to make, because too often when the hysteria about affordable housing is discussed, the point is often missed that we are the last money in. We cannot put money into an affordable housing project until all local approvals are in place. So that's planning, special use permit by a town board, a zoning variance if need be, county health department, and in this case, state DEP and DEC. We're the last money in. So all of those home rule protections have been put in. And we talk about, often you hear, well, people are outsiders. And when I was with A-Home, we found that 85% of the residents came from north of 287. So a lot of the folks like to stay in northern Westchester. And you know what? The folks who come from out of northern Westchester, we're talking about 65 units, possibly 65 new volunteer firefighters, 65 new members of the PTA, 65 new members of the Lions Club. We saw a great Little League organization here. Could be 65 new coaches to the Little League. People move to North Salem for the same reason I did, because they want to enjoy the rural character, the great and wonderful people, the giving nature of the people in North Salem. I think this is really going to be a boon to the community, and I'm glad we're taking this up tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harcum. Members on this item, Ms. Spreckman.
Very interesting, and what I really like is that they are providing the people with transportation to the railroad stations to go to work and to shop, and it is far away, and a lot of people don't have cars, so that's a very, very good point. A lot of people will want to live there because they could take public transportation at the place, and they have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments, which is good too.
Thank you, Ms. Spreckman. Other members? We are on discussion, members, on items 9, 5539, item 10, 5541, and item 11, 5540. Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 5541 from the Committees on Budget Appropriations and Government Operations, an act authorizing the County of Westchester to purchase approximately 40.2 acres of real property in the town of North Salem and subsequently convey said property, as well as authorizing the county to accept and/or release any rights in said property, all for the purpose of developing 65 affordable AFFH rental units and related facilities that will remain affordable for a period of not less than 50 years.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, as discussed, this is the actual act authorizing the land acquisition for the development of this property. So moved.
Thank you so much. Unless there's an objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 5540 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Government Operations, a bond act authorizing the issuance of $4 million in bonds of the county to finance the cost of land acquisition and improvements thereon, located at 256 through 258 June Roads, North Salem, capital project BPL 50, fair, affordable housing.
Ms. Myers.
Yes, and it is the actual bonding for this project. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Unless there's objection, members will take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Under special orders, item number 1 is Act 105, 2012, submitted by the Chairman of the Board, an act authorizing Westchester County to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the City of Yonkers, whereby the county would finance certain infrastructure improvements and be granted an easement to access said improvements in support of a fair and affordable housing development to be known as Warburton Riverview Apartments, located in the city, and accept such property rights.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. A long roll call. Mr. Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that we would like to take advantage and get out of here quickly as opposed to the late night we had 2 weeks ago, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't at least state something on the record. I didn't say anything 2 weeks ago because I didn't want to create any further debate. The night was getting long, and I found myself being between a rock and a hard place. As legislators, we're always want to go and propose legislation that's going to help our communities. We want to foster that. And as I said, with this project over here, I'm always inclined to support anything that's in my community that's going to help, assist, strengthen the city of Yonkers and or the village of Bronxville, which I represent. And I voted for the act and the IMA before us, based really on the fact that this project is good for the city of Yonkers. And I'm sure I speak for Bernice Breckman, I speak for you, Mr. Chairman, as well as for my other colleague from the west side, Ms. Perez, in saying that we want a Yonkers project proposed. But I believe, in my heart of heart, and I want to state this for the record because this body has been somewhat litigious, and if this goes to a lawsuit, I expect that the administration or whoever is going to use my comments in support of their papers. But I believe this process that we're taking today is flawed. And I'll be the first one to say that I'm voting for the project, despite the fact that I think it's flawed, because I am a Yonkers legislator. I've spoken with Mayor Spano already, and I told him that I think the city of Yonkers would be foolish to depend on this, I forget the exact amount, 2-point-something million, I believe, on this project, because I don't think it's going to ever take place. I think bond counsel, our own counsel, have already given us an opinion, and that the bonds won't be able to be sold, and if Yonkers is relying on these bond monies, it would be inappropriate. What I am well, let me give a little history. When this was presented before the body, this body, not this particular body, but the legislature in the past, for some reason, 11 of the 17 members, and I'll say Bernice and I did not vote against it, voted to table this matter. Some of the people are in this room right now, so it was tabled. And when it was tabled, it stayed in committee and didn't come out. And that was the last term. We all know what the rules are. When a new term comes in, when there's a capital project, got to vote on it again. What I am kind of surprised with, maybe Ken, you would answer that, you and Jose Alvarado voted to table this Yonkers matter. I don't know why. It really benefits your community. But to know in advance that this project is not going to be supported by the county executive, whether we override his veto already, and we're going to override it tonight because Bernice Breckman and I, even though we feel the same way, are going to vote because we are Yonkers legislators. But it was very difficult for me to try to convince my Republican colleagues who are going to be voting against this project to support something that I inherently believe is flawed, and they believe it's flawed. So I'm stating this again on the record, so it's memorialized in a fashion. I think this is going to be another problem here. I don't know again why, Mr. Chairman, respectfully I say this. I don't mean to put you on the burner, but why did you table this in the first place? I never was given a reason 2 years ago, never given a reason. This board unilaterally decided it was going to put it on, didn't follow our rules, didn't follow the CBA, didn't file counsel. So I'm a little confused, but I wanted to again state on the record, I am voting for it. I'm going to try to override the county executive's veto and see where it goes. But if this is brought in litigation, I certainly believe the words that I put on the record today will be used against this body on the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Burrows. Ms. Bergman, would you like to mention? Any other comments? Mr. Burrows, just for clarification, the item was not tabled. It was not referred to committee at all. It was severed, and it was received and filed. So it did not go into committee, so there was no process for it to come out of committee. It never went to committee. So just for clarification, so we have that on the record. We do know that there is a action that the board currently has in front of it that is an overall perspective regarding the capital budgets process and the clarification that we seek to have as far as what the process is that the board and how the board adds projects to the capital budgets as we are allowed to do in the county budget process. So we'll let that lawsuit play out, and we'll see where that lands. Madam Clerk, on this item, a long roll call vote.
Mr. Harkam.
Yeah.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Borgia.
Yes.
Mr. Burrows.
Yes.
Mr. Gelfarb. Mr. Kaplowitz.
Aye.
Ms. Marcotte. Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Mr. Ryan. Ms. Shimsky.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
No.
Ms. Spreckman. Mr. Testa.
No.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Approved 12-5. Special order item number 2, Act 106, 2012, submitted by the Chairman of the Board. A bond act authorizing the issuance of $2,750,000 in bonds of the county to finance capital project BPL01, Warburton, Riverview Apartments, Yonkers.
Unless there's objection, members, we'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the reconsideration. So ordered.
Approved 12-5. Motions, resolutions, call of the districts.
Members, motions, resolutions, call of the districts. I did just want to note that we did have the all Yonkers legislators again with Mr. Grasso, which was a very shocking and surprising thing that we learned about yesterday. So certainly the Yonkers legislators on there. Jim Grasso was, I don't want to call him the DPW commissioner. He was basically the public person for the Board of Education for many, many years and did an outstanding job when Legislator Burrows and I guess Legislator Spreckman were both on the City Council at the time.
Great guy, very knowledgeable, knew the Board of Education in and out, was a constituent of mine, and just a nice, humble man, retired several years ago, outstanding family, and just he's somebody who really gave to his community, and someone who I hope will rest in peace.
Absolutely. Mr. Kaplowitz.
Yes, sir, just a small call of the district, if you could. Earlier, I rose to discuss the procedural disposition of a particular item, and you had said that I was out of order. I do have Rule 4 that I want to put before the board, Rule 4.3, communication from government officials, departments and agencies, and members of the general public, if said inclusion on the board's agenda is so requested in the body of their written correspondence. With reference to said communications, there shall be no debate on the substance of the item. Debate with regard to the disposition of the item shall be permitted, but may be limited by the chairman. I rose to discuss the disposition of the item and believed, in fact, that it should have. I was supporting it and want to explain my vote, that I supported both this LDC going to committee because I think it's better to discuss it and not to create policy on the floor by receive and file, while I'm also supporting another effort to also bring about an LDC because I think it's that important. So I wanted to explain my vote procedurally, not on a substantive basis, and that was under that rule, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplowitz. Other members on motions, calls, Ms. Borgia.
Yeah, I would just like to be added to the memorial resolution for Elizabeth Masha.
Ms. Borgia has been added to the memorial resolution from Elizabeth Masha. Other members? All right, if we all could please rise and observe a moment of silence for all of those mentioned in the memorial resolutions. Mr. Harcum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I would move that we would adjourn and reconvene on October 15th at 7 p.m.
On the motion of Mr. Harcum, the board stands adjourned.